take risks, be bold, um, and express yourself through your vision, and manifest that, and walk that path, because I think we do need more diverse people in general. Um, it's crucially important for this built for all kind of narrative. And if we want a future that is going to be built for all, that is going to be as inclusive as we want it to be, then we have to be part of it.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to my show. My name is Tiffany Alexander. Man, I'm excited to have you here. This is Unveiling Journeys, and I'm going to tell you just one quick story before I get going. By golly, I love people. I love hanging out with people, getting to know amazing, fantastic people. And when I get to know them, I'm like, oh, can I tell the world about you? Please, can I tell more people your story? And that's why the podcast was born. And just to give you a hint as to how this can work in your life, when you meet these cool people, just ask them at the end of their conversation, my gosh, you've been so phenomenal. How can I know more people just like you? And if you're thinking, I don't hang out with cool people, just say, wow, this is a great chat. We got to hang out. Who do you know that I need to know? You just ask them if you can hang out with some of their people. And then if at the same time you're thinking, well, what next? I'm like, I hope you're bubbling over with all the people that you want them to know, which is kind of how I operate. And I've had several chats with so many people like that's why the show was born. So, today I have a phenomenal guest for you. We've had several great chats and we're actually kind of close to each other. And that was even better to think, oh my gosh, we're just a stone's throw away here in California. And her story is so cool that I could not contain my excitement to bring her on to share everything that she's all about. So, I'm going to do this. I want Radhika. Come on. Uh, Tell everybody a little bit about who you are right now and what you're up to.
Hi, everybody. I am Radhika Iyengar. I'm managing partner at Starchain Ventures. We are a venture firm based out of Silicon Valley. And that's probably a good nutshell right there, but there's a lot more to it than that, which is what this conversation is all about.
I love that. And tell me a smidge more about your company, your fund that you're operating in, because this is so cool. This is like your thing right now.
Oh yeah, this is a happening thing right now, and it's been a remarkable journey. This is very much the next logical chapter in my journey. Been in and around tech for most of my life, and now to be sitting on this side of the fence, which we are partnering and supporting and masterminding with great founders we believe in, is a remarkable step to be in. It's a remarkable phase to be in, and it's a remarkable side to be on. And we're incredibly excited to back some of the best founders around with a particular, focus in mind. So we're clearly about technology, and we can dive into a little bit more of that. But that's, in a nutshell, what we're all about and what we're excited about.
I love this. Some of the fun things that you told me is you've become the master of being able to identify whether it's your gift or you got hit your 10,000 hours, right? You've done this for so long that you have this sense and also the data behind the people who you are really backing and the people you're allowing to come in and be joint in with this venture. And I love so much the nerdy side of this data that you've conquered something that some people are like, well, it was like a guess or a lottery or like, eggs in the bucket. Like, no, you've developed systems to
Mhm.
see through so many different angles of all these different businesses, which make you have out of the park deals that you've consistently been able to do. And now you're like, I want to bring this to people. Like, why shouldn't I let people in on this with me? Which I love so much because we need more people like you doing exactly what it is that you're doing. And
Thank
right
you.
now you're irreplaceable.
Well, thank you. That's very kind of you to say that, Tiffany. We're certainly moving with a lot of conviction, and I think that's part of the mindset behind all of this is that we don't move forward with things unless we have absolute clear conviction that this is something that is super necessary, that we're excited to be backing, that we know we are partnering with the best teams that are going to be executing in particular areas. So the word conviction has to do with a lot of the package, right? So it's team, 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 obviously. And in many cases, we've known these founders for 7, 10+ years. And so these are long journeys we've already been on with these founders in many instances, have worked with them with their prior companies and iterations, have known them for a while. So we know how they operate, we know how they think, we know how they move. And, make no mistake about it. Doing this and putting a portfolio of companies together that really center around a couple of different things. Number one, it's about founder excellence. We are serial entrepreneurs ourselves, so we've been in those shoes and we've experienced our successes. And now it's about looking at the next generation of founders who are really excited about solving big problems. So now coming to the other aspect of what we're talking about, which is what they're building. Our focus is on AI and data intelligence specifically. And we do like a blockchain core. And so what that means is we love a trust layer around data. That's really what it means. And so we feel that the marriage between trusted data and a trust around data, and then amplifying that with AI and data intelligence is a superpower of combinations, and the way it can be super instrumental in solving systemic challenges in key sectors is actually pretty extraordinary and leads to enormous returns too. So this is not charity. This is not philanthropy. There's another arm for that. But this is about partnering with founders who are bold, who are unshakable in their convictions, in how they're building things in new and innovative ways to solve really big problems. And key sectors we focus on are healthcare. That's an area I have a great deal of expertise in, and we focus a lot on that. But we also focus on finance and supply chains as well, as a third sort of arm.
Oh my gosh, I love it so much. You just ooze this confidence and smartness about everything it is you're doing, which I love about you because you just know what you know, and to go out and conquer all this. I love being able to talk about all the data with fellow incredible female women. Female women, we're all females, but so I want to do this because I want to unveil your story. I want to share your journey in this. Let's start from the beginning. Like, tell me, where are you from and what was that like growing up? Like, are you doing what you thought that you were going to be doing, and what was school and first jobs? Like, tell
Mm,
me, crack into that story.
sure. Well, we have to go back a ways, but I was born in India, in the other Silicon Valley of India, which is Bangalore, Bengaluru as it's known now, and then moved to Morocco, North Africa, when I was 6, and I spent some really formative years of my life growing up in Morocco. And that was a mindset because where I grew up was in Tangier. Tangier is at the northernmost tip of Morocco. You literally see the coast of Spain across the way, across the Straits of Gibraltar. And at the shortest distance, you're talking 8 miles. So this is a pretty close point, and it's an interesting. It's almost not just a place to grow up. I often talk about it as a mindset that you grow up with, because when you're growing up in a place where you literally have north, south, east, west, all centering on a point, that's a confluence. And that's a geo confluence of places, because it's literally where those four directions can match. And to be able to look and say, north of me, I see the coast of Spain. And by the way, that's a whole continent. And I'm sitting on another continent. That's a state of mind. And so a lot of that, a lot of my mindset and a lot of the way I think about things is from confluence mindset, where things actually do intersect. And these intersection points are very powerful. There are intersections of culture, there's intersections of dimension, there's intersections of geo boundaries, there's intersections of languages. I grew up incredibly multilingual. A superpower that has been born out of that is that I speak 12 languages
No way.
and
I
growing.
love that.
So, it's about families of languages that you tap into. And that also creates a confluent sort of mindset. There's neuroplasticity that comes with growing up in a place like that. So, make a long story short, that was a part of my formative years. And then I was, selected to attend college, an elite college on the East Coast called Bryn Mawr. Some may know of it. It is a very proudly all women college. And I was selected at 14. So I came actually very, very young. I actually came at 16 and, did my 4 years of undergrad at Bryn Mawr. At the time, I thought I was going to be a doctor. And then I had to pivot because the clinical side of medicine, I thought the whole hospital scene was a little much for me. And so decided I had to do other things. And so I ended up on the West Coast to pursue a business degree and ended up in semiconductors. And that also is an inflection point in my life because at the time it was the transition between analog and digital. And the chip manufacturing company was they were manufacturing local area network and wide area network chips that were going into devices, right? And so I remember, I was working in the strategic planning unit and remember working with that division and looking at the landscape of opportunity. And that was a moment in time which I've gone back to so many times in my current life, because when you've seen an inflection point in technology and you realize there's decades of opportunities to come, there's a certain pattern that emerges from that. And so when you've seen multiple waves of technologies and you look and you say all of these waves of technology have a certain pattern, that just a certain MO that emerges from how technology gets developed, how technology gets adopted, how it becomes mainstream, and then how do you live out the promise of a technology? All of those things are general patterns in technology. I'm a systems thinker just by nature of who I am. I think about systems. I'm also a data geek, so I love the data side of that equation. But it is about bringing patterns to being and looking at that and extracting that and envisioning that. And so, fast forward many, many years, because so much of my life has been about technology. I'm a serial entrepreneur as well in Silicon Valley. And the last 10 years of my life have been devoted to largely towards global entrepreneurship. So this is where some of it has come full circle because my global origins and then working with a field of global entrepreneurship where the belief is that true talent and true abilities really are born anywhere.
Mm.
I'm an immigrant, so part of that is the immigrant story and the core belief that we as immigrants have unique lived experiences and unique perspectives that we bring that make a technology come to life in certain ways. This is it's like playing an instrument. You can hear a lot of people playing instruments. Some might be technically gifted. And then there are those that you hear and say, wow, that person just makes that instrument sing or just come to life, and they're able to breathe a new meaning into that. And that's kind of how we look at entrepreneurs. Great entrepreneurs are those that can bring that to life. They are not just executing, to a plan, they're actually bringing something to life. And so the vision aspect of what we're doing with technology, now backing founders who are exceptional in their field, are all about, harnessing those diverse lived experiences and bringing them to life in a way that is going to be super successful. So amplifying their success and their trajectory and being there to support them in every stage of the journey, opening up our book of networks, our connections, our knowledge, and certainly the space that we're in as operators, having been operators in this space is really great because we can bring our experiences, our expertise to life with the work that we do with founders, which is incredibly interesting. and this is comes back to this 10-year journey. So over the 10 years, we're able to work with roughly like 25 companies and globally. And there were 3 exits, 2 unicorns, and over $4 billion of shareholder value that was created. And I say this because, again, this is about partnering with great founders. And these partners, these founders are really from everywhere as well. So our excitement at what this fund can do now, looking at the field of founders who are coming up with transformational solutions and vision for these key sectors that I talked about. That's really where we're at. We're focused on early stage, and the stage is seed, and I'll specify that a little bit further, which is that it's kind of like a pre-A. So why do we focus on that? We've done anything from early baby to Series B, and why this particular stage? Um, I think it's an exciting stage to be in. Early stage is you still got to have the conviction to make big bets. To these companies are not fully baked yet, but they're clearly onto something. And so we're not pre-seed. Pre-seed is really tough. We've done that too. But where we see big upside is in this seed sort of pre-A category, where we can come in at a stage where we know that there's tremendous upside to be gained out of this, and yet we are partnering with these founders to help them kind of influence and guide them and counsel them and shape them after they've achieved this inflection point of product market fit. We want founders to have done some of that heavy lifting themselves. There are many other investors who might say, "Oh, we want first money in, we're pre-seed, and that's a great stage to be in." We're just one step up from that, where we say, "Great, we want you to have done some amount of homework and heavy lifting in terms of understanding who's your customer, why do they want to buy this product, why is this going to be the next big thing, and why are you going to be the one to carry this, and make a market splash in this area, and why is this going to be, kind of conquering this space." The reason is that we really want to focus on upside, but we're talking, 100,000x. We're not talking for the faint of heart here. So it's a very, very curated eye that we're looking at these companies. We want to partner with winners. And I think there's not a one size fits all. We often talk about this. There is the right investor for every founder, and there's the right founder for every investor. It is very much about a match, an alignment of thinking, of vision, of approach, and intentionality. And so for us, it's not just about the upside. It is about purpose. So where we get really excited is when founders are solving big systemic problems.
Mm,
People who are bold enough to take on complex challenges.
yeah.
We've got a lot of brain trust in these areas. And so we want to be sure that we can add some of that brain trust too. So, money's money, right? You can go get that from any number of different areas. But if you want money coupled with values, coupled with execution and know-how, coupled with expertise, um, and connections to boot, then yes, that's a good match for us. So, we definitely look at profit with purpose. We are definitely looking at outsized performance, the boldest founders that are out there who are not shy to back away from big things, but also win big, right? And so this is about winning, and this is about abundance of all kinds. The abundance mindset is kind of how these days I'm looking at, who has that abundance mindset. And there's abundance on all these different sides. And so, but there's alignment at the very, very center, because we absolutely are about conscious and ethical investing. And I think there's room for this particular angle these days more than ever before. I think there's a lot that's going on in venture, which is incredibly exciting around technology, but the ethics and the values and doing things the right way, thinking about AI with safety and ethics and all of that. I think that's terribly important when we look at how we want to build the future together.
Incredible. Yeah. Oh my gosh, you've said so many amazing things. And this is like the start all the way circling back around. When did you come like decide to settle back down here in this Silicon Valley?
Well, I came to Silicon Valley and then I never left. I
Yeah.
think that's the short story to that. I've been in different places, so like I said, the origins, and then I came to Bryn Mawr. That was on the East Coast. I came to the West Coast, to Southern California, to Chapman, where I did my MBA, and then I came up to Northern California. Sort of a windy road, but the minute I hit this spot, I think it was finding people that had this passion for technology and everything that it represents. And like I said, it's about feeling that there is a purpose behind this technology. This is not just for its technology for technology's sake. You're actually doing something really valuable and important. And so, and the book that we published, I myself and my co-founder, we've partnered on so many things along the way in the last 10 plus years. So now, in 2019, we published our book, called Enterprise Blockchain Has Arrived, which was very much about the confluence and the intersection of three major technologies. And that's, Web3 as a foundational technology for trust around data, and then AI, and then also IoT, where it makes sense. And so this is kind of, there's a path here that, it has taken this journey to get to this point, and all leading up to this fund. Because I think that, could I have told you when I was a young woman coming to this country that I was going to be doing what I'm doing now? No, I couldn't possibly have, I don't know that we have that kind of a crystal ball. But did I have an interest in a sector called medicine? Yes. Is there a calling in that? Yes, there is. And has it come full circle? Yes, because, I got involved in digital health. I still believe that this is a sector that really moves me. I often talk about healthcare as the one thing that's with anyone from birth to your entire lifespan, and maybe beyond too, right? So it's something that is incredibly important. And we really want to focus on the health side of healthcare and medicine. And there's incredible transformational big breakthroughs that are happening with technologies that are really changing the face of what medicine means, what healthcare means for all of us. And that's now this next phase. How do we back the next generation of founders who are making um, a real mark in this area? So, healthcare is one of the areas that we're focusing on. There's finance and there's supply chains as well. But for me personally, a lot of it has to do with healthcare, and in that sense, it has come full circle. I didn't
Right.
end up on the clinical side of medicine, but I ended up on the investment side of that. So,
I love that.
there's ways that as a young person, do you have all of the sight? You don't. But I think that when you leave it up to the universe to define how that road kind of takes shape and how things come together, I think there's a trust and faith in that, in saying yes, you're moving towards your north and your compass, and things do happen to come the way they're supposed to.
I love hearing you light up about all of the different aspects of like the branches and divisions of what the fund is doing, and the amazing companies that you've had the ability to like be with or be a part of or own. And in that, I think with some of the exits you've had, it's like, wait, you should be somewhere with like a cocktail in your hand and your feet up. Why? Why? I want to know like your what keeps you going? Like, why do you keep trying so hard for all of this?
The future is important. And if I was sitting with a cocktail in my hand, and not that I don't mind, you know, it's this is part of a legacy we're building, right? And that's a big word to use. But I think part of that thinking is you can either sit on the bylines and kind of watch the world go by, and I guess there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not one of those who thrives on the sideline. I like being in the thick of action. And we that is my founder, my co-founder, and myself. We could have built multiple companies, and we have. This next phase is about backing the next generation of really, really bold winners, and not just founders, winners that are out there. And this is, we can actually see who's a winner. Um, we can just feel it pretty quickly, whether this is something that is, um, going to do something big or not. And if it isn't going to do something big, then I think we have the rigor and the discipline to walk away. So I think this is a part of knowing kind of how we are and where do we fall in all of this, and why do we get excited about something and want to invest in something, is being part of that future, and maybe having that influential part in that journey, because it is about partnership with founders can't do it by themselves. They need a room full of the best people around them, and
Right.
that's what we're ready to bring. We're not only
And
bringing
I
ourselves,
love
but we're
that.
also bringing people we know, our networks, and adding value is incredibly important. And so being at the phase where you can shape the conversation and the narrative around the future and what that means through technology is incredibly exciting. I don't want to wake up 20 years from now and say, oh, I should have done that. And, I didn't do that. And so now I'm doing this. So it is about, and I think from a perspective, point of view, I'll just add this. My perspective as a woman of color, as an immigrant, as a diverse person, is an important perspective. And I think that, we as women have incredible power to shape the narrative of conversation and the conversation around technology in unique ways that draw from our experiences and our views. And the future has to be not just lucrative. Of course, it's lucrative. Everybody wants that, a lucrative and successful future. But we want to have it inclusive. It has to be durable. It has to be built for all, really.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so good. All right. This is so fun. I feel like when you get to share your heart and people get to see where you've come from and the stuff you're growing and why you keep leaning in so intensely for this passion that you have for this, they're probably thinking at this point, "Ah, I want in. I want to know more about this. Where do you want them to come find you?"
Um, I think the only social media that I really truly am on is LinkedIn. I'm open to a LinkedIn connect. Just tell me where this came from, and don't just hit connect, because then I don't know who you are and I don't know the context. And if you really want to have a conversation, I'm open to that. But come find me on LinkedIn and drop me a note and tell me how this happened and why you're reaching out, because we all get a lot of incoming, and it helps me, set the context around where the invitation came from.
Perfect. All right. I want to do this. I want to go like two more questions. What's on the horizon?
Um, the horizon is about building a good future. Really, I mean that's the legacy. That's the horizon. I mean, this is first of a family of funds, and we have an entire thesis around this family of funds and how it's going to roll out. So there's, things that we're looking ahead already into the next, families of fund, the next journey, the step in the journey in this family of funds that we're building. But it could be around, physical AI, embodied AI, deep tech, quantum technology. I love quantum computing. So I think there's a lot in the future of technology that we would love to be in on and part of that scene and that action. We're starting here. This is a very important vision that we have, very very specific. It is highly specialized. It's almost it's tailored to who we are and what we've done, right? And so we want to bring a lot of that to life with the founders we're with. But the next phase is going to be expanded. And it is very much around AI and data intelligence, but it's also going to be expanding across other areas and other technologies. And deep tech, I think, is going to be an extraordinary area for us in the future.
That's phenomenal. All right, the last question. This is so fun. Um, what are your nuggets? What are your words of wisdom you want to leave with everyone today?
Mm. Um, I like people. I think my message to founders in particular, I'll give it on a couple of different fronts. So I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the kind of founders that I gravitate to. Um, I think bold founders, big vision, manifest this incredible vision. Be thoughtful, I think, more than anything else about how you're building it, how you're thinking things through. Um, Surround yourself with the best of the best to do that. to keep thinking thoughtfully about things and shoot for the highest caliber, which is back to team, team, team. Surround yourself with the best always. People who amplify the best in what you do, because you can't do it alone. And I think for women in particular, um, be a risk taker, take risks, be bold, um, and express yourself through your vision, and manifest that, and walk that path, because I think we do need more diverse people in general. Um, it's crucially important for this built for all kind of narrative. And if we want a future that is going to be built for all, that is going to be as inclusive as we want it to be, then we have to be part of it.
Hmm, that's so good. I love this. You have been a phenomenal guest, and I love you sharing your heart and your companies and your strategy. And at this point, I want everybody to remember, go to LinkedIn, go friend connect. If you're like, Tiff, I don't, it's in the show notes. Just go down below because you're going to want to reach out or at least follow all of the things that she's doing in her company with Star Chain Ventures, for these phenomenal returns and these incredible companies that she's going to be letting you know where she's at with them. And then I am so grateful that I got to have your time today, Radhika. And then I am so excited everybody who stayed for the whole thing. I love that you guys took the time out to be able to hang out with me. And thank you so much. I appreciate you. I love your story. I love your time. And I look forward to hanging out with you again soon. And same with you guys. I will see you on the next episode.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.